Well, hello, and welcome to our Unscripted with Dane and Chris, episode 3, I believe. And we absolutely zooming. We're zooming with excitement. Um, not teams, not teaming or in Discord. We're trying out new things. We're trying out the digital format. As as we thrust ourselves back into the COVID way of doing things. Dan, what do you think about all of that? Do you remember in COVID times when we were all also zooming and teaming and all of those things? Yeah, what's your thoughts on the whole digital communication landscape?
Uh, yeah, look, it's definitely it's a different challenge. I feel like whichever way we're going, whether like face to face or we're doing it this way, it's it all has its own challenges. We have our challenges for this now. Before we started face to face, we had different challenges. But I think it's good. I think I'm just looking at it as it's teaching us. Um, we know now what to use, what not to use, and it's basically just making the road forward much more clearer. Um, and I mean, yeah, it's exciting
Yeah,
because
yeah.
we're learning. So that's cool. We're gonna fall, we're gonna fail, but what's important is that we keep getting up, and learn
Yeah,
from what we've already done.
that's true. Yeah, the thing is with this stuff, it's like you said, it's all of this stuff comes with a good thing and a bad thing, and it's so interesting to me because like during the COVID times, like we we were all connected in a way, right? Still, even though that connection, in my opinion, in my opinion, right? So face to face is a little bit more uh, intimate. Is that the right word? Is a little bit,
Yeah.
yeah. But in the COVID times, it was Zoom or nothing, and so it's interesting to me how a lot of times people sort of blame social media and online tools and online meetings and stuff for, oh, it it disconnects us, which in a way it does on the sort of individual level, but in another way, here I am speaking to you, I'm on the beach, you in space, um, according to our backgrounds, and yeah, we still connected. So it's a weird thing. But it's different, right? It's we connected, but we disconnected. If you get what I'm saying.
Mhm. Yeah, I think like especially like you mentioned now, it was like either Zoom or nothing. So at the time, it was like the best option. And I think now what's happening, like now that COVID has been like 3 years ago, so 4 years ago.
6 years.
Oh, 5. Oh, shit, it is in 2020, eh? Shit,
Well, it's
it's
still
2 years.
19. So it's technically in 19, but yeah, the lockdowns were in 2020. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm feeling old now.
Oh, tell me about it. Tell me about it.
Yeah, what I was saying is now we almost like find that balance, between it where we can still like be connected, we can still have that face to face connection and that meetings, which we definitely need. It's completely different, but this is also adding that sense of convenience when needed.
Yeah,
You know, so I think we're finding a good balance between the two. Each one has its own challenges, its pros and cons, but at the end of the day, it's a good balance also between the two. So I'm loving it.
yeah. No, we should get a McDonald's sponsor there. I, yeah, no, I mean the it is like you say, it is convenience, and what I like about the post-COVID times is with all of this digital stuff, like we still having useless meetings, but at least you don't have to go in for them now. At least we can just like we still haven't learned the skill of just sending an email, but but at least the meeting is not a bunch of people sitting around in a room saying, and nothing from my side today. So Uh, oh my goodness, that's just so so many meetings. It just like why did we spend an hour to do this? Right, we did nothing, but but it yeah, but it is nice. A lot of jobs sort of adapted a little bit more of a flexible hybrid approach, which I'm told is better for mental health and that type of thing, which is I think good. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So because
If you had to choose between the two, because I know, like, with myself, like when I worked from home, like COVID times, uh, I was like, ah, what's the office? I really miss the office. I want to go in, you know? Like,
Mm.
if you had to choose between the two, like, if you could go that route, like, whatever would you choose? Like, being at home or working remotely, and you're not having that interaction with your colleagues, face to face, or would you
Yeah,
choose to go into the office? Even
yeah. Well, the thing is,
also, I know, but I mean,
it it is, yeah, yeah, right. So during COVID, a lot of people got kind of cabin fever, but it's not, and really wanted to go into the office, but I wouldn't say as much because remember, it's not just work. You were literally in your house for everything all the time.
ex-
So the big difference between remote work and sort of normal global situations is that you still every now and then do have to go do a thing where you go see a person and above and beyond that you actually see people in sort of the social capacity all the time. So I wonder if that missing going into the office wasn't also just a little bit of the general social like social withdrawal. Um,
yes.
but in the same sense, I do agree there is something nice about like being in. I remember this when I was still doing postgraduate and like being in the lab and being able to go around to the lab next door and be like, oh, let's go for a quick coffee and like drag the lab technician out with me when he's really supposed to do doing your work. You're like, oh, you had a coffee, but have you had three? So, then and yeah, there is some it's a typical sort of water cooler. There's something fun about it, but in the same time, I don't know how productive it really is because ultimately it's kind of still a social. It just becomes a social event, like a miniature. Maybe it's better to actually just work remotely. The beach is throwing me around it. What do you- and oh my goodness. Yeah, it's freaking the stormy wind. But maybe it's better to just like work remotely and uh, actually do the work and be somewhat productive for 3 hours of the day as opposed to being somewhat productive for 3 hours of the day and then just pretending to work for the remainder of the hours. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true. That's
Like
true. Yeah.
this whole thing of like,
I mean, yeah.
yeah,
Oh, sorry, I don't know what's happening. You're disappearing.
is it? I feel larger.
What I was gonna say is, um, the-
I'll fix the video, but
I was gonna say that so my sorry.
no, I was gonna say let me just fix the video in the background. But you can ask your question, yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I was just saying that it makes us human. We always need that like human connection as well, you know. Even though like I feel like a lot of people would choose like the remote way thing because it does make things so much easier. You eliminate all of that traffic and I mean that's draining, you know, going to work every morning and that's draining, getting up earlier and all of these things. But I mean, we do need that we need to communicate with one another. We need to, you know, like, we just need that human connection. I think it's what makes us human as well, you know? What's the beauty
Yeah.
of being? And I think if you take that away, it will make life feel almost like senseless in a way. Um, but yeah, I think that that's a big part of making a decision between the two. whether you're gonna do it remotely or
Yeah.
you're going to do it, you're gonna go every day into the office. Um, I think that's the one thing I'll look at if I have to decide between the two. Or that will be my question that is makes me decide what I want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but it's I don't know, but like I said also previously, it's nice that we're finding the balance between the two, because both of them has pros, both of them has the negative side, and so forth. Yeah, here we go. You back. Good to have you back.
So yeah, no, I agree.
Being like this, because
Yeah, I agree. I agree with the going in, but at the same time, like you said, it's draining to wake up in the morning. It's the traffic in there, the traffic out there. Like at the end of the day,
yeah,
personally, I think life is for living, right? And how much time is wasted, like going to work,
mm,
like traffic wise, but also how much time is wasted at work, kind of just sitting at a desk or wherever, whatever work you do, kind of being busy for the sake of, oh, it's not going home time yet, right? There's a lot of time, yeah. And like maybe, yeah, I do see the benefits of interacting and working together, and that whole thing, that sort of and a lot of the best ideas come from the water cooler talk, like they call it. But we don't have to always go in. Maybe the best approach is a hybrid one where we, you know, let's sacrifice Mondays. Mondays are I'm gonna advocate for one work day a week, not five, definitely not seven. One work day a week. Mondays, the rest is optional. It's like, yeah, I think, yeah. Then we can kind of get the best benefits. Yeah, I
yeah, it's definitely fun balance, and I mean it's opened so many other doors as well, like look at I don't know things were like prior to COVID, like with podcasting and things like that. Like this for an example is making things so much easier. It's not the same, but it does make things so much convenient. And I think everything, like even like with AI or like any form of technology or new invention or whatever, it's always to make life easier, with to bring that sense of like convenience for us, Is it efficient? Is it making life easier? Are we more comfortable? And everything that's made for us is intended for those things. And I think that is we've been going that way. We
absolutely,
whatever.
yeah,
So I think that is just where we headed, and I'm sure like going forward, like in the future, there'll be other things put in place as well that's gonna make it even easier or even more efficient for us, so we can become more productive, get more done,
yeah.
and just explore life like you mentioned. Yeah.
No, I agree. And the
It's
thing is with its efficiency. So sometimes with efficiency you sacrifice uh, that je ne sais quoi, that personal qualitative
yeah.
aspect of it. So it's like sometimes the inefficient things make the imperfections essentially make things beautiful, right? And so if you take this for example, like there is something a little bit more dynamic about being, especially for a podcast, being in the room with a person. Like here, there's a filter, there's a layer, it's different. It's nice to have. It enables. It's the same with AI.
Yeah.
It like it enables a lot more, right? But in the same breath, it enables a lot more trash as well. There's so much like I had AI stuff now as well. So yeah, sure, it makes the good stuff more convenient, but at the same time, it becomes a crutch for things that would have maybe probably been better before if you had just done it properly. But now, because you were lazy and you have this nice tool, you did the worst version of it, um, because it was easy. Similarly to going to work or having a meeting online or a podcast online, it's a lot easier for us to go, "Ah, you know what? I'm just gonna relax on the beach today, um, and
Yeah, yeah.
and do a quick podcast. I'm not gonna drive all the way to space to go speak to Dane." Um, so, but at the end of the day, then we have uh, a podcast that looks like this one. I see my shades are here. Let me just put my for the for the speech. Speech, yeah. Whoa. You know, in space, in space, you would definitely need. I don't know how you're breathing up there. It's like, anyway, sorry, I got distracted by the background.
I'm not popular.
Oh my god, you're just like Super Saiyan or something. You don't need to.
No, no, I get you.
Yeah, yeah. With the efficiency, you
Mm.
you sack what you
Yeah,
get.
no, no, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, I feel like it's like that with whatever we do. Sometimes we we sacrifice certain things to make life a bit more convenient for us. I think it's always going to be like that. That sense of sacrificing or giving one thing up or another. Um, I've I've, I've heard it too many times. You know. Oh, yeah, it's switching. Yeah, yeah, I've heard it too many times. Like sacrifice. You have to make the sacrifices. You're gonna have to sacrifice time. Something you have to sacrifice family, or comfort. Even you get to a certain place. Is your dream really that big? Are you willing to make the sacrifice? And I think it's similar in terms of what you were saying, because we are gonna let go of certain things. Might be easier, more efficient or so, but we're letting go of other things, and doesn't necessarily give a better product or better results at the end of the day. So I think it's also just, yeah, carefully picking up
So
and looking and sitting down and talking down the pros and the cons between various options.
yeah,
You know,
I yeah,
yeah.
I disagree and agree with that. So I think, yeah, nothing is free, right? Everything comes at a cost.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
at the same time, I've also heard this thing about to do this, you need to sacrifice that. And
Mhm.
I actually don't know how true that is anymore. I don't, a lot of times people put things in these dichotomies. The- and they, they say, you can either have time or you can have money or you can have, what's the other one that they say? Fun or something like that. Uh,
Yeah.
but I don't, we, like in the past, for instance, we've spoken a lot about the balance between joy and meaning, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And I
Balance,
think
definitely.
exactly. So if I take if I take my situation, like I throughout my life I had this perception of what meaning is. Okay, and I went for that. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna go work on the yachts and go after school and just go have an adventure because that seems fun, but
Yeah.
I I'm fairly smart, and so maybe I should do something with that. And so I went to university and got the postgraduate degrees and went that whole route and went into a sort of career to try and help people and did the whole relationship thing because that's the meaningful option. And in that process, spent so much time trying to sacrifice joy for meaning that ultimately, eventually, the lack of joy in general undermined all of that anyway. And now I'm coming to realize that perhaps perhaps there is meaning to be found in joy, and joy to be found in meaning. Um, in the sense of, if you think about it, just to contextualize it in this topic, the in terms of career and in terms of how we do things, is maybe maybe it's not a sacrifice. Why does it need to be a sacrifice? Why do you need to do something that you don't enjoy so that you can do that other thing that you do enjoy maybe one day? You can, there are options to do the thing you like now, to do the thing that gives you time to, you don't have to, you don't have to sacrifice those things. You can, I think everything comes at a cost, but it doesn't have to be the things that you want to do that you have to be paying with, if that makes sense, right? Right. And obviously there's realistic stuff. So you can't say like, well, I would like to never work and be a millionaire. Like, yeah, sure, cool, we all do. But right, but you can. Maybe you like traveling, right? Become, there are a plethora of vocations that allow you to travel and get paid for it. So
Yeah. No,
yeah.
I know you. I hear you completely, and it's very similar to this journey that I'm on now recently, or like discovered recently. Yeah. And I spoke to someone about it, and I've always had like this picture of how, uh, I have this picture for myself how my life is gonna go, all of those things, and I learned it's not necessarily going to go this way, but I'm almost like on that path again where I'm like planning, I'm trying to build something, and like I'm trying to install like small habits every day. And I came to the realization now the other day, it goes like I have like a morning routine, maybe. So, where they say, oh, you need to get up early, be successful, and have a morning routine, take cold showers, and all these things, and like I've like tried those things out, thinking that it's going to make me successful, and I sat with it now the other day, and I was like, what is the point of doing this, If I get up in the morning, early in the morning, yeah, I work out. Okay, that's going to, you know, trying to stay healthy, maybe stay fit, those things. Yeah, I can understand that. But that's not what's going to bring me in instead of money. Or, yeah, I would meditate. Okay, it's going to clear my mind. Maybe ideas will come in and things like that. Okay, what's the point of taking a cold shower then? Is that necessary? Is that going to contribute to your success or where you see yourself? Or, that kind of thing. So, what we do is, or what I've discovered is, do what's going to push you in a direction where you want to actually go, and don't just do it because everyone is saying on the internet, in order to be successful you need to get up 5 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah,
take a
yeah,
cold shower, what did they give me.
yeah,
So it's yeah, but because that's just like my mind, with it. And I'm sure it has its positive sides. Like it does definitely show. Like I was in this interview now the other day, and yeah, just getting like a lot of interviews. Like I know we spoke
mhm,
about this.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I'll talk about that. So I was in another interview, and the guy was like, it's like fully remote, and it's basically in the job is in line with. So it's more. I need more time to do what I actually want to do. So it's aligning up with that, right? And the guy was talking about the discipline, like our discipline there, and I was like, "Yeah, that's like perfect. Like I love my whole life discipline, organized, this structure." And I spoke about like the morning routine and that, and I was just like thinking about it like afterwards, like, is am I doing it just because I think it's gonna make me successful, or is there a point that's going to help me get to where I need to get?
yeah,
So I feel like there's a lot of pointless habits that I put in
mhm,
place, uh,
yeah,
that's not necessarily contributing to where I want to be, but at the same time, I'm so conditioned to see you beauty of it all and say, you know what? Okay, that's fine. It taught me. I know now. I know better now. At least I know how to, or I know how to be disciplined, or
mm,
all those. kind of characteristics and things like that. So it's yeah, it's just this weird journey
Yeah.
so that I'm on now currently. Um, but yeah, it's very similar to what you were saying. There was. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah.
It's very easy to fall into that sort of trap. Not trap, but so waking up a little bit earlier and exercising and even doing a cold shower will put some system shock into you and probably get you motivated and to do some stuff. But it does get very easy become very easy to fall into the cycle of and. So it's like I'm gonna get up at 5 a.m. and take the cold shower and intermittent fast and do vigorous exercise and all of these things that highly successful people do. And eventually you're like spending your whole day doing the glue, right? The things that are important. It's very important to stay mentally healthy, to meditate and to exercise for your physical health because we, in order to do other stuff, you need the energy, right? You need to be healthy and have enough of yourself to give to be able to do that stuff. That you can't just do that, right? The whole point of that was to be able to do the other stuff, right? If you, it's like you said, it's waking up at 5 a.m. is going to allow you to exercise, right? But unless you're sort of one of those people who somehow made it a successful career to tell other people how waking up at 5 a.m. and you're not going to make money out of doing that, right?
Exactly.
You're gonna you're gonna be have some extra time to do exercise to maybe be healthy so that you can now eventually do something. Right? But that's not the thing. That that's the supplement. And
Yes.
but I do think it's important, and but I do think also it is important to direct it in a direction that you actually want to go, right? Um, and but
Exactly. I think that's the important thing now. Like, mm.
yeah, yeah,
Like I was just doing it because I saw everyone else said, "Ah, this is how you be successful, so I'm gonna do it." You know, I didn't see the point of doing it. You know, or I didn't see the bigger picture of how it's gonna contribute to me doing another thing. Like you said, if I want to make money, exercising every day is not necessarily gonna make me money. Might
yeah,
the energy to make more money or to get a different idea or so. But you know, you need to see how that correlates to your vision for yourself. So I think finding that was like a light bulb moment for me.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
we still learning, which is exciting.
yeah, yeah,
Feel like we know more and
yeah,
we know
yeah.
so much.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's so funny that universities are supposed to be this place where you learn things, but the one persistent trend at university, if you like, take okay, undergrad or first year, second year, third year, honors, masters, PhD, like the one thing that you learn through every phase is in this process of learning, you just learn how very little you know. Like with each phase, you're like, oh, I know even less than I thought. It's it's just learn all the things you don't know. And oh, yeah, and eventually you get to a point like, ah, I know literally nothing. Um, and, but
It's like
yeah, but it's the process, and it's I think it's value in knowing what you don't know as well. Um, People say this about conspiracy. Okay, so this is a bit of a tangent, digression, but so conspiracy theorists, they always say no, but you have to question everything, right? But the irony is that they're not questioning everything. They're very set in, like, they've been given the alternative view, and they firmly believe in that's not questioning. That's being very dedicated to one. That's not being skeptical, as you've chosen, right? And so it's um
yeah.
yeah, and so yeah, with this, but anyway, so but with this whole thing of getting up at 5 a.m. and stuff. So I know so many people who do that. And like, I'm gonna join the 5 a.m. club and I'm gonna be productive. And it's like, then they get up at 5 a.m. and they're kind of groggy and they do the exercise. And by like 3 p.m., they're tired. And by like 6 p.m., they're heading towards bed. And like, okay, so you've won. you won 1 hour in the beginning of the day and you've lost 6 at the end.
Exactly.
It's like, what was the point of that really? Um,
Exactly.
I had a
Exactly.
I had a friend many years ago who told me, because I think I was busy with my honors, and so that was a very busy time of my life because I was doing a job at the side. I was doing my honors, which in genetics, which is a very like time consuming um degree, and there was like a lot of social things happening. There was a time in my life where I was living with two of my best friends, and so I just had to go be social. They just had to. So there was a lot happening, and I thought to this one friend of mine. He said, "Just get up an hour earlier every day, and then you'll have an hour extra." I'm like, "Yeah, well, like that's not how that works. Like I'm already sleeping 8 hours. If I get an hour if I get up an hour earlier, then I'm just losing sleep unless I go to bed an hour earlier the previous day, in which case I've gained 0 hours." The, I, in fact, I said to him, you know what, let's take it to the extreme. I'll get up 24 hours earlier and then I'll just have an infinitely long day. So, it's like, it doesn't work. But, yeah, anyway, it is this thing yeah, yeah, you're gonna say, yeah.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, like I think it's important, just like you said, like it doesn't work that hour earlier. But I mean, if you need to get the hour earlier and you need to complete something else because you don't have the time, your day is so busy, then do it. I think
Yeah.
it works differently for everyone.
Mm.
If your day is that busy and you obviously uh, prioritizing your sleep as well and need your 8 hours of sleep or how many ever hours you sleep, and getting up earlier, hour earlier is actually gonna make you more productive for that day, then do it. You don't need to do it, then do it. Don't do it because you think you're going to be successful by getting up an hour earlier every day, but not doing anything over that hour, whatever this may be. Know why you're doing what you're doing, you know,
Yeah.
and know that
Yeah.
this is actually moving you forward. And I think with that being said, it's also important, like when that is like also when you listen to certain people, there's always sayings about like listen to yourself. You know what's best for you, and I think it boils down to that as well. Like this remember I told you about the channel that like TikTok channel and things that I started basically the same time we started the podcast, right? And like there was people commenting on it and saying like, oh, you should do this or you should do that or whatever. And I just thought to myself, like, I've tried out like so many things over the years. And this is where I find myself now. This is where I find myself what I'm doing. And I feel like it's satisfying and it's sending out good to the world and things it's aligning with my purpose, you know? Like, I understand
Yeah.
and see my vision, but it's easy for someone to say something and then you just go accordingly. And I think it's also important to know what you want to do, know why you're doing what you're doing. You can have that sense of steadiness in the life. You tell me
Yeah.
do it this way. Am I going to listen? Or am I going to say, you know what? I'm doing it this way because of A, B, and C. It's
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
this way. And
Yeah. So it's,
yeah, it boils down to, oh, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
sure. Go for it. Go for it.
Yeah. Well, so say someone listening to this, for instance, if they're like, you know what, I get up at 5 a.m. and that works really well for me because I'm more productive in the morning. Like, okay, that cool. You did what we do it, right? Then that's great. Um, yeah, and like, I, because on the same thing with you, you say you're talking about your channel, and like, I also for a while like posted a lot of just like little life lessons and things that I learned every day. And then like some of my friends, or one of my friends, they said, "Yeah, we don't really like this. We kind of want to see you drive your motorcycle and play guitar and like do MMA and do all the cool things." And I'm like, and like share you got a lot of knowledge. Share your knowledge. I'm like, Well, first of all, first of all of my degrees are in the neuroscience and psychological health space, and that's also where I've worked for a long time. So that is my knowledge. And secondly, like you gotta just do what you what like you said what is the right thing for you, and post the type of things that you think this is right, this is me. You always listen to other people. Although add a caveat to that and say listen to select people. I think especially on the internet you get a lot of like f- negatively opinionated people. And it's not necessarily that it's not. I wouldn't even say it's an opinion, because you know what the general trend is. What I find is, especially if you try and do something good, right? Is you kind of the first line of comments are usually like, "Ah, this is good. I like this. This is helpful." And then eventually you just get like these almost. It's almost as if they didn't actually even watch the video. They just like they saw a thing about you and they're like, "I'm gonna go for this," and then just insult it. And yeah, you gotta what's the saying? Separate the was it the chaff from the wheat from the chaff? What's the saying again? And
Something like, yeah, yeah,
and ultimately also know and ultimately also know that if they don't like it, they can scroll on to one of the other millions and millions of videos available to them. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. No, no, that's so true. And that's the importance of knowing what you actually need to do, you know. Not everyone is going to like it. You know, people's going to have different opinions about it. And that's the reality, you know. And it makes things, especially like in our day and age with like social media, that it's so easy to comment, you know, on someone's video. They can easily put in a negative comment there, or whatever the case may be. But I mean that comes with a journey. And it, same sometimes it obviously can get to you because you try to do something good, and you try to like follow your passion, or which is do good for the world, like in your small,
Yeah.
your small world. And then you get things like that, which is yeah, it kind of brings you down, but also know it's part of the journey. And I always saw it as you on the right path once that starts happening. So I eagerly wait my negative comments because then I'll know, okay, no, this is good. I'm on the right
So
path, yeah.
that's interesting. So what do you mean? So if you start getting negative comments, that's an indication to you that you're on the right path. So
I think yeah, when it comes out of like hate, or like jealousy, or things like that, then I feel like it's from a good point, because you won't be jealous of something that's not, how do I say, blowing up, or not impactful, or things like that. And I think negativity or jealousy comes from a place of hate, because you're doing something good and they necessarily couldn't, or they gave up on their dreams, or maybe their dreams were similar, and that is why they put out there, or comment on certain things. If it's constructive, like feedback, like I feel like you all know. If a friend comes to you and says, you know what, listen, Dane, this is a bit not so good, or maybe try doing it this way, but
yeah.
thing, then it's fine. But I'm talking about like jealousy and like hate from someone you don't even know. It's just throwing in stupid comments, talking about
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
That
yeah,
that
yeah.
means like, okay, you're doing good.
Okay, I hear you. I
I
understand,
don't know.
but
I just haven't seen with kids.
yeah.
Yeah, I've always seen
Ah,
it like that. And it's like a motivation for you to like keep going. That is how I see it. You
yeah.
know.
Okay. No, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's sort of that attitude of like, Yeah, they're just jealous.
Even young,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, no.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
going to get different opinions. You're going to get like I don't mind different opinions. We all need to
Yeah.
your
Like,
opinion at the end of the day.
yeah, different opinions, good. Yeah.
Exactly. But when it's hate, it's a whole different jealousy. It's a
Mm.
whole different scenario.
No, I agree.
You know?
Yeah.
So that is what I mean.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. There's a saying, it's like you can't make everyone happy. You're not a pizza. So, or the modern version, you can't make everyone happy. You're not Henry Cavill. the the but the yeah.
How you the like the now on your videos that you like posting and things like are you finding that what has it taught you so far? Because I know you this is also quite recent.
Yeah, yeah, that's
You
it's interesting, right? Because there seems to be a very large amount of people that really like them, right? And really find value in that. But it's also funny because my close connections, like the people who I actually know face to face, don't seem to care. It's like, which is fine because it is that thing of like yeah, of different things, and that makes sense as well statistically that out of the billions of people, that the 200 close people that you know are not necessarily all going to be the ones that would have found those things interesting or helpful as well. But it is funny. So I put out well, I'll give you one example. I put out 2 new songs on Spotify like 2 days ago, 2 or 3 days ago. Yeah. Um yeah, yeah. And uh and it's so funny because I was like when I posted, like, I just shared it to my personal Instagram, like, oh yeah, I'm sure the people I know would probably want to know about this. And 3 people, 3 people out of the all of my followers, like, like, okay, I thought this would be slightly more interesting to you, but oh well. And so, but so 3 people, but then people who I've actually never met. They're basically just, sometimes as you post things, you kind of get these people who sort of consistently start liking your things and commenting and stuff. Like
yeah.
many of those people, like they seem to like it or not. I'm like, this is really weird, but kind of interesting how how it works. And just to bring it full circle back to the how we started with the in person versus online. Online connects us, right? But it also sometimes connects us to people who already think like us, who already have the same opinions and who already like the things we like, which is great. But sometimes it's useful to be in that work environment or that school environment or university environment, wherever you are, where you are surrounded by people who have completely different interests and likes and opinions and political leanings and views and whatnot, because that gives you a reality check in terms of what is sort of valuable or interesting or the direction that things are moving. And that also makes you challenge your own sort of thinking patterns. Yeah, so there is that balance, but yeah,
Definitely. Because I was just gonna ask you now, seeing that you're saying like only 3 people that you knew, like I was gonna ask you like why do you think that is, Um like I just thought about it. I was just like thinking of myself as well. And I'm thinking, oh, I heard this thing also uh, been hearing it actually where uh, that is now. But anyway, I mean let me just continue. Where we oh, we have different everyone sees you differently. So everyone has their own perspective of who you are. So I can know Chris from MMA. Someone else knows maybe confident Chris. Someone else knows shy Chris or whatever. So we all have this different perspective of we like all different we're the same person, but we're different to other people. You know, everyone has their own perception or perspective of us. And I was thinking like why that happens. And I was gonna ask, do you think it's because we have or we play different roles like in our face to face? Because remember the people that haven't met us before only know podcasters. You know, they don't know motorbikers, maybe for an example. But I maybe know motorbikers, and it's maybe we share the motorbike, and that is what we connect with. But now we're drawing in different kinds of people because we're putting out a different Chris out there on the internet.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
you think like that? That's one of the reasons why you like maybe attract different people or the people that you hang out face to face isn't
absolutely.
necessarily interest has interest in the same thing that you like posting on social media. So
Yeah,
in
no,
that graph.
absolutely, absolutely. I think that's yeah, no, definitely. That's actually such a good point. And it's yeah, you do wear a different face, not necessarily. I'm not saying you necessarily put up a mask. It's not a purposeful thing, but it's just like you, like the lens through which we met was through MMA, and that's a different sort of environment that elicits a different sort of response. And I think for a very long time since we met, that was the only place where we ever spoke. Right? It was a while before we started hanging out outside of MMA, and then because of that, obviously, you started knowing, oh, okay, this dude drives motorcycles and makes music and is a scientist that does other things. But the uh, and and yeah, and so you get to learn people, but absolutely, and I think a lot of like comedians get this where they're people in the world see them as a person who makes funny things, right? And then when they meet them in the real world, they're like, okay, you funny person, right? Do the thing. And like, no, they're actually just a person who some for that very. That's kind of like, you know what? It's kind of and to be they expecting to be funny. It's kind of like seeing Taylor Swift or whatever, a singer
Yeah.
for 3 minutes when they do the song, and then meeting them in real life and being like, okay, but why are you speaking? Surely you must be singing, right? So it is that like yeah, that's a very good point. It is
Yeah, yeah, that expectation the person's going to do this.
yeah,
This
because that's
ease.
I think we all categorize people when we meet them as well, just to sort of make navigate the world. It's like, "Oh, okay, I met this person here. This must be what they're like, right? They check this in this box, and so I'll just auto complete all of the rest, and that's probably where they fall, right? You see this a lot of times when people say anything even remotely related to politics, right? Um, they say something and regarding or depending on sort of what call it a side it falls on, but you're like, oh, okay, this person probably believes all of the rest of the things that are associated with some political side as well, and that's just not the case. That's just not how people actually are. But we still do it. Um, we buck
Exactly.
people.
It's easy. It's
Yeah.
it's the same time, like especially you seeing someone like for an example, like the comedian thing. You I don't know. You can't it's not I don't think it's wrong.
Mhm.
But because you this well-known comedian, and I mean I follow you, and I love watching you, and that is all I've seen. That is all you even the world. You know, you've even asked your jokes, and that is all we know. And when you step into a place of getting to know you, like, nah, I actually don't like this person or whatever. You think it you you think it's fair to interact yourself from that? Like for an example, I'm a fan of your music.
Mhm.
And I love your music and it's my style of music and I listen to your music and I'm a big fan. But I get to know you and I don't actually like the person that you are. But it's just that we're just two different, completely
Mhm.
different people. I don't believe in your beliefs or anything, you know?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
think
yeah,
it's
yeah.
retract myself and say, you know what, I'm not going to listen to his music anymore because of the type of person he is. Um, I actually think that's a bad example because I feel like your beliefs and your view things comes out in your music. But you understand, I know you
Yeah,
understand
yeah,
my
yeah, yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
it's yeah,
Yeah,
you think it's
it's a good
it's
question.
you enjoy the music, so why not just listen to the music? You don't have to
I,
follow the person,
yeah.
you know, everyday life aspect, but still enjoy his music.
I think that's the age-old question of separating art from artist. And for some people, they can do that. They can go, yeah, Michael Jackson, yeah, questionable stuff, but Scott beat. And there's a people, and there's a lot of, especially with musicians. There's a same with, but if in any form of art, the further back you go, whether it's murals and paintings and martial arts, and like a lot of the, take martial arts for instance, which is also an art. We kind of focus on the martial bit a lot more, especially in MMA, which is a lot more practical. But at the end of the day, there is actually a little bit of a art side of it as well. But like most of the martial artists of the past, who sometimes are heralded as heroes and sometimes even philosophers, made a living by killing people. That's what they did. They killed people, right? And yeah, I'm talking about ancient martial arts were designed to fight and to protect and kill, right? So that's the history of it. And people say this about authors all the time. A lot of the really good authors for like the classics lived in a time where they were probably racist and sexist as well. Right. So, and it is that question of to what degree are you capable of separating the thing from the person who made the thing? And should you? And is there a line? It's like, yeah, we can, their views and stuff, we can kind of ignore that until they do this sort of thing, they cross this line that we don't support it and boycott it. And or maybe there's a practical aspect of it. It's like, okay, they're still alive, so we're not going to support them because they're going to make money out of it. We don't want to give them money, but when they die, we'll just see. So that is it's a interesting question, and I don't know. I don't know. For me, I judge individual cases. I judge individual moments of people's lives, um, and I judge what's in front of me right now. And I can separate the art from the artist, and I can say, this person did that bad thing, but this piece of music is not doing that bad thing. And so I can enjoy this piece of music, even though it came from, because everyone has a history and no one was always good. And like take one famous example, for instance, take Nelson Mandela, right? His history is complicated, right? He wasn't always the good person. But if we were to only judge him by, or were to include the judgment of the bad things that he did, right? As opposed to the very good things that he did close to the end. It's like how much weight should it all carry, right? Um, and yeah, ultimately it comes down to I personally, I think judge what's in front of you, um, and you can take everything else into consideration, but ultimately it's the same. Or let's take a very practical, easy example. If I if I eat sushi, order sushi, and I eat sushi, the sushi, and I say this is good sushi, right? I'm not gonna go, but the chef was racist. No, it's fine. That's his issue. I don't agree with that, but this got nothing to do with the sushi. Right?
Real sushi. Yeah, no,
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
yeah, 100% I agree with what you're saying. It is to find that split between the two, or that balance between the two. Like the perfect example you made. I don't necessarily agree that he's racist. However, I'm gonna give him credit where it's due. He knows how
Make
to
sense.
show.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, I think it's yeah. I think finding that balance once again, and I don't have to support everything that the person believes in, but I do like the sushi that he makes.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Well, as that, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's interesting, eh? So yeah, interesting question. Yeah, I'm just thinking about it now as well. I think you answered it perfectly, actually.
Oh, I thank you.
So that's a fish at the back end.
Yeah.
But so it's the nice fresh air. It's on. Yeah, no, that's crazy. That's crazy. So this is a it's a good conversation.
Yeah.
It was chill. It was, finding that balance between. I think we spoke a lot about balancing, even when we started about the working from home and that human connection and the digital life
Yeah.
and no judging the person for the art. Is it the art and the artist? And it is a good
Yeah.
conversation. It definitely opened up my mind a bit
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
and made me think once again,
Mm.
you know,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
that good this and like you said before, um, even though it's hasn't touched anyone else out there in the world, like maybe posting or whatever, but it made me think what contributed in my life.
Yeah. Yeah. Mine too. And so that's two people right there. That's double what's necessary, right? So, but yeah, and the right person. Yeah, exactly. The right person will find it at the right time, um, and find value out of it, and everyone else can scroll by and go on with their life. Yeah, yeah, you know.
Yeah, and sometimes we surprise ourselves also, you know. It's like we like I was like now the other day, when was it, on Thursday, when I was sitting in the car and I was going through the videos like that I posted on TikTok. And sometimes it's like, oh wow, this is actually encouraging, even us, you know. It's not what stuff and like I like this, you know. There's actually I should get it like this. I mean as what
But
come
you know,
this guy knows what he's
what
talking.
you're talking about.
Yeah,
I
so it's nice to look back on it, you know, because
I
we
can relate to that. My music tends to have a little hint of optimism, um, in it, and it's actually I recently found out that Dua Lipa has a very sort of similar approach to music, where it's almost like manifests this radical optimism, is what she calls it,
okay.
and yeah, so it's interesting. In a strange way, I kind of do the same thing where I almost will it into existence with the music. It's like, okay, this is the processing of the thing, and then this is the what I would like the direction to go from here type thing. And
Yeah, yeah.
and in that, when I hear the song, I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, it is okay. So yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, yeah.
That's cool. I like it. I love it actually. Like, how does it give me goosebumps when I do? So it's a weird thing that I was like smiling with myself, you know. It's just like
Well,
this,
you know what I think it is? I think it's separating the art from the artist. And it's just that in this case, you are the artist. You're like, and you're looking at the thing in front of you, like, yeah, this is valuable. This is valuable.
I would have to watch this guy.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right. Well, I'm happy.
Any last text on our conversation?
Well, I think this was a lovely day at the beach for me. I hope you had a lovely day up there in space. Yeah, interstellar. No wonder your mind is so open. You're literally there among the stars. I suppose we're all among the stars, but but yeah, no last text from me, and yeah, let's see how the audio sounds. I hope it sounds well, and I hope that the two people, or the people beyond the two people that are currently listening to it, find value in something that's been said. Yeah, right.
You definitely did.
Alright,
You
good.
too, man.
Cool, man.
Peace
Yeah.
to all the watchers, the listeners.
For listeners, to watch the smellers, no, hopefully not. Alright. Cheers.
Yeah, cool. We'll see
Cheers.
you.
Cool. Bye. Cheers.
You wanna stop pretty